There is a force that operates silently inside you. It is not noisy. It does not need your permission. But every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every result you create is directly influenced by it. And you may be thinking, what do you mean? I choose my life. But the truth is, 90% of your actions every day do not come from your consciousness, but from a deeper place, and more dangerous if you do not control it. Napoleon Hill called it the subconscious mind. And according to him, this is the hidden controller that decides whether you dare to act or not. You believe you deserve it or not, and you will keep your money or lose it as a habit. More frightening, many people read Think and Grow Rich, understand the principles, but do not achieve results. The reason? Their thinking is only on the surface. The subconscious is running the program completely opposite. In this video, I'll show you how Napoleon Hill reprogrammed himself, why you're still not getting it even though you know everything, and how you can start today to make your thinking truly an asset. Ready? The journey inward begins now. Have you tried to change your habits, read self-development books, write goals, chant slogans, but a few days later, everything is back to square one? It's not because you're weak. It's not because you lack motivation. It's because you're trying to change your life consciously when 95% of your life is controlled by your subconscious. And that subconscious is where all your inner programming is stored. What is inner programming? Imagine your mind as a computer. Your conscious is what you type commands into every day, deciding, reasoning, reading, learning. But your subconscious is the operating system that actually runs everything behind the scenes. It controls your emotional response, the beliefs you carry from childhood, how you perceive your self-worth, and the level of financial comfort you allow yourself to achieve. In short, if you have an underlying programming code in your head that says money is dangerous or I don't deserve to be rich, no matter how many skills you learn, how many goals you write, you will always sabotage yourself without realizing it. Napoleon Hill was not the only one who wrote about success thinking. He was the first to say it outright. Every human action, success or failure, comes from the subconscious, not the surface of the will. And from there, he developed the method of autosuggestion, a way to reprogram the subconscious, turning thinking into the core inside instead of just a good idea outside. What program are you running on? Be honest with yourself. Are you acting on purpose or reacting to old emotions? Are you chasing opportunities or avoiding risks for fear of repeating failure? Are you making money, but do you feel guilty or do you feel like you can't keep it for long? If so, it's not your fault. That's your old inner programming, and it needs to be rewritten. And in the next part, I'll break down how Napoleon Hill reprogrammed himself day by day to make his thinking consistent and ultimately financial reality. One of the most controversial things Napoleon Hill ever wrote in Think and Grow Rich is the chapter, Faith. Because when hearing this, many people will say, is it positive thinking again? How can you get rich just by thinking? But if you really know Hill, you'll know. He never said, thinking is enough. He said, it's only when you believe it in your bones that your actions really change, and that's when results appear. The problem is, most of us only think on the surface. We write down our goals. We listen to inspirational podcasts. We repeat our mantras every morning. But at night, when we're faced with a difficult decision, a big opportunity, or a potential risk, the positive thinking disappears, and the old instincts, worry, doubt, procrastination, take over. Hill calls this the state, you think one thing, but your subconscious mind is running on a different agenda. So what did Hill realize? He realized that the right mindset needs to be installed into the subconscious mind through repetition, emotion, and intentional action. Beliefs do not come from hearing a lot, but from reprogrammed inner experience. And all true wealth begins with an inner belief system, not external knowledge. That's why Hill didn't just write books. He lived by that principle every day. Every morning he read his goals aloud. Every night he visualized himself living the successful version of himself. He didn't do it once, he did it over and over again for months, years, until his subconscious began to believe it was true. Thinking alone is not enough, because thinking cannot counteract the negative subconscious mind that has been formed over the past 10-20 years. Short-term positive thinking doesn't make you act differently when faced with difficulties, really. And if your subconscious mind still believes, "I am not worthy, money is dangerous, people like me cannot succeed," then you will unconsciously destroy all the opportunities that life brings. Hill understood that success does not come from momentary motivation. It comes from clear thinking, ingrained, repeated, and imprinted in the subconscious. And that is why, in the next part, I will share the specific way that Napoleon Hill reprogrammed himself every day to turn thoughts into actual financial results. Because right thinking is only valuable if you are deep enough to make it your nature. Little known fact: Napoleon Hill didn't just write about success, he turned himself into a living experiment of what he taught. And the method he used every day was not esoteric or esoteric. It was incredibly simple, but incredibly powerful if you commit to it properly. Hill called it auto-suggestion. But don't get me wrong, this isn't positive delusion or self-deception. It's a way to reprogram your subconscious mind from limiting beliefs to beliefs that bring about real action and results. Step 1. Write down your specific goals. Hill never said think positive in general. He asked you to write down a clear, quantifiable, time-bound goal. For example, I will have $100,000 in my bank account by the 31st of December by running X business. Not, I want to be rich, but a clear outcome that is like a contract between you and your subconscious. Step 2. Write down the price you are willing to pay. This is the part that 99% of people skip. But Hill emphasizes, there is no achievement without a fair exchange. You must write, I am willing to work 4 hours every night after work, share the value every day, and not give up until I get results. When your subconscious sees that you are serious, it will start to believe. Step 3. Read it out loud twice a day. Every morning after waking up. Every night before going to bed. You read the goal plus price out loud, in a confident voice with a vivid mental image. Do not read it like a machine, but read it as if you have achieved it. Feel joy, gratitude, pride. Emotions are the key to help you open the door to your subconscious. Step 4. Rewrite your goals every day, advanced option. Hill does not require it, but many people who apply it recommend this. Every morning you rewrite your goals by hand to increase the level of engagement and put your brain into a state of high concentration. This is how you pull your brain out of the old reflex mode and into the design mode of the future. Step 5. Take action, even small, right away. A mindset without action is an illusion. Hill always emphasized, you only truly believe when you dare to act. After each reading of your goals, ask, today, what will I do? Even if it is just one small step, to move towards this goal. Simple but not easy. It's not a 3-day miracle. But if you do it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days without interruption, you will feel a profound change. Hill lived by this process. And it didn't just change him. It has changed millions of people around the world. People committed enough to reforge themselves from the inside out. This may be the part that really wakes you up. Because there is a question that many people have in their minds after trying to apply Napoleon Hill's thinking. I did it, I wrote the goal, I read it out loud, I imagined the result, but nothing changed. Why? Reason 1. They just read but don't feel. One of the most common mistakes when applying the auto-suggestion method is to read the goal as if reading a prescription. Dry, emotionless, rushed. But Hill said it very clearly. Words without emotion cannot be imprinted on the subconscious. Hill didn't just read. He imagined with all his senses. He felt he had achieved it, vibrated with the result as if it had come true. And it is this intense emotion that is the glue that binds the thinking into the deep layers of the subconscious. Reason 2. They lack consistency. Most people do this for 3 days, 1 week, 10 days at most, and then quit. When they don't see clear results, they conclude, "This isn't working." But Hill understood something simple and profound. The subconscious mind doesn't change at the speed of inspiration. It changes at the speed of repetition. He did it every morning, every night, for months on end. And in doing so, he reprogrammed his core beliefs, not temporarily, but permanently. Reason 3. They act the opposite of what they read. Many people read, "I believe I can succeed." But the next day, they turn down an opportunity out of fear. They abandon a project because of self-doubt. Hill emphasized, the subconscious registers belief through actions, not words. And that's where Hill differs. He acts despite doubt. He moves toward his goal despite the lack of results. He lives as if the belief is already true, and the action itself reinforces the belief. Hill doesn't do, he becomes. This is the biggest difference. Others apply Hill's method as a trick. Hill lives it as part of his very being. When you just do, you give up easily. But when you make thinking a part of yourself, you don't have to try. You act as a natural reflex. So what do you need to do differently? Read with real feeling, as if you were living the result. Commit to at least 30-60 days, every morning, every night, without interruption. Take daily actions, however small, that align with what you're affirming. Check, what is your behavior proving? Old news or new beliefs? Napoleon Hill did not succeed because he knew the secret. He succeeded because he committed himself to living that way of thinking long enough for it to become a reality. And if you do something different today, you will not only know the theory, you will see the results. Why do some people just hear an idea and immediately start implementing it, while others hear it 100 times, fill their notebooks with notes, but still don't take action? Why do some people persistently build assets, build systems, expand their income sources as part of their instincts, while others are stuck with small, doubtful decisions? The answer lies here. Behavior does not start from will. Behavior starts from the internal operating system, that is, the ingrained thinking. When thinking is only on the surface, you have to force yourself to act. You can be motivated, inspiring, having beautiful goals on paper. But if inside you is still an old thinking system, full of limitations, fear, lack of confidence, then every action you take will be like dragging a body that is resistant. That is why many people start very strongly, then get tired and give up, because they still have to force themselves, instead of letting their inner thinking system control nature. When thinking is ingrained, behavior becomes reflexive. Napoleon Hill calls this automating behavior through subconscious reprogramming. When you repeat a positive belief over and over again, accompanied by clear images and strong emotions, the brain begins to establish new connections in the subconscious. And once that belief becomes the default standard, you no longer have to think how to act. You act as a natural consequence of who you have become. Just like you don't have to force yourself to brush your teeth every morning. Because it's a behavior that is ingrained in your subconscious, it happens automatically. The same goes for success. When thinking about wealth becomes your internal standard, the behavior that produces financial results will be triggered automatically. Hill doesn't act because he is motivated. He acts because he has become such a person. Losers always look for motivation. Successful people rebuild their internal structure so that they do not need to wait for inspiration, but still act regularly. Hill repeats affirmations every day, not to create motivation, but to restructure beliefs. And when beliefs have become vital, his behavior, from writing books, sharing, meeting, bringing ideas to the market, happens like breathing. The results are just the tip of the iceberg. The root is a properly designed subconscious. Right thinking is not for thinking for fun. It is to reprogram the inside, causing external behavior to change, and the results are just natural consequences. If you act according to a new habit for only a few days and then stop, review the original thinking. If you keep starting and not sustaining, the problem is not strategy, but something deeper. What beliefs are you operating under? And Hill leaves a big lesson. You don't need to force yourself to do more. You need to become a person for whom successful behavior is a given. To do this, you have to reprogram your mind, not once, but every day. If you've made it this far, you've understood one thing very clearly. Thinking is not enough. Understanding is not enough. Only when you start reprogramming your subconscious mind with targeted repetition will things really change. And instead of letting this inspiration pass you by like so many others, I want you to start a challenge today. 7 days subliminal reprogramming challenge according to Hill. For the next 7 days, commit to doing these 3 simple steps, every morning and every night. Step 1. Write down a clear financial goal, with numbers, with time. For example, I will generate 100 million VND from my business by the 31st of December. Step 2. Write down what you're willing to trade. I commit to spending 2 hours a day learning and taking action without procrastination. Step 3. Read that statement out loud twice a day, with strong emotion, with a definite voice, with a clear picture in your mind as if it were already happening. That's it. But if you do it right, consistently, with enough emotion, with enough commitment, you will see something begin to change inside. And if you're ready, comment below. I am starting the 7-day program for my subconscious mind. That comment is not just an interaction. It is the first commitment to yourself, an affirmation that I understand and I am ready to change. Don't just watch, start. Because as Hill says, faith doesn't come from words. Faith comes from repeated lived action. And change starts the moment you decide to reprogram your inner self. You have just completed one of the most in-depth videos on success thinking that Napoleon Hill has ever left. Not empty slogans, not false positivity, but a real process, repeatable, for you to reprogram yourself from the inside, so that you do not have to try to act like a rich person, but become a person with a real rich mindset. Now is the time for you to decide only one thing. Will I continue to live like before, or will I start to restructure myself from the deepest level? Hill did it. Millions of people who have applied his method have done it too. And there is no reason you can't do it too. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, because this journey is just beginning. See you in the next chapter.